Welcome, everybody, to Off the Bandwagon Sports. I am Kev, your only host for the evening, and I'm here to react to the NBA draft, just the first few picks, and we're going to go in depth later with Sean B. and hopefully our boy Nate. In the meantime, I get to enjoy Nate's tears over the Jimmy Butler trade, which we will also get to. But in the meantime, we're just going to go over the top 10 picks and discuss some of these trades, Jimmy Butler included. So, look no further. Pick number 1, Markelle Fultz, big surprise. The one guy that no one has seen on television, but everyone agrees is the best player in college basketball. The best thing I've seen so far is the new 76ers t-shirt that says "Saved by Markelle." That's pretty clever. That was up minutes. Somebody was really happy when he got picked. There were just so many different ad campaigns out within 5 minutes of that pick. Speaking of a very interesting thing, one of my favorite moments of the draft, and we'll get into another one when we get to pick 9. When Markelle Fultz posted his Instagram picture from being the number 1 overall pick, he had an advertisement in it, and the company had apparently sent him over a template, and he forgot to change the template. So when he posted his Instagram, the first picture he ever had as an NBA player, he's a millionaire now, so he posted on Instagram this new advertisement from his brand new sponsor, and he forgot to take out city name and team name and replace them with the actual with the Philadelphia 76ers. So that was an interesting thing. I'm sure that's been pulled from Instagram now, but have no fear because we have a screenshot of it. I will add it later to the episode. That was pretty funny. One of the big trends of the night seemed to be people diving into these draft picks Twitter feeds and reposting some embarrassing tweets, which you guys can discuss in the comments how you feel about that. I'll save that one for later. I'm trying to keep this episode quick for my producer RJ's sake. You guys probably won't hear from him because I feel like he wants to stab me right now. We're doing a sports show.
Something kind of fucked up.
Oh, wait, we might. The wizard speaks from behind the curtain. Maybe.
The wizard makes his best attempt at speaking from behind the curtain, but I actually had to Google this guy's name to make sure that it was NBA draft and not NFL draft because I had a second guess there myself there, and I'm like, shit, did I just tag this completely wrong?
Oh, man. So that's funny. I love it. So, yeah, we're going to try to keep this one brief for RJ's sake. So moving on to... Well, wait, before I finish, I will say Markelle Fultz going to the 76ers. I'm not sure that that's going to change anything there. We haven't seen any draft pick from the Sixers play in more than 30 games in a while. So, should I pause, sir? Okay, cool. Just making sure. So yeah, I think you got to trust the process if you're a Philly fan, right? So I think the process is going to continue. It's going to be a good pick though. He will probably be a good player. I can't pretend like I've seen much more than highlight films from him. So I've never watched a Washington Husky game. Not never, but not last year. Moving on. Number 2, Lonzo Ball. Another huge surprise there. LA's favorite son and LeVar's son are staying home. So this is interesting. The Lakers made a few other moves. They apparently most likely won't be making a trade for Paul George. They took the number 2 pick off the table, and then they sent Russell over to Brooklyn. So maybe there's a three-team trade in the works. I know the Pacers really want to move Paul George as quickly as possible at this point. He already says he's going to opt out, so the extra $75 million probably won't change his mind. That didn't change Carmelo's mind when he wanted out and wanted to go to New York. So Paul has the Gatorade endorsement. He was on the cover of 2K17. I'm sure there's a tennis shoe out there. I don't really stay up to date with the shoe game these days. I can't wait for you to clip that later. That'll be great. But anyway, the Lakers got Lonzo. We'll see what else they do. They have a lot of cap space now after getting Mozgov off the books. So the Celtics took Jason Tatum. Not really a surprise there. Actually, I should take a point, since we're talking about Sean B's favorite team, I should take a minute to point out that we did both get the top 5 correct. So good job, Sean. And that's all the back patting I'll be doing for now. Celtics took Jason Tatum. Probably going to be a pretty good player. There were 2 schools of thought coming into this, right? Either Markelle Fultz is head and shoulders above the rest of the competition, or the top 5 picks in this draft are all about the same. They're all looking to be contribute now kind of guys. Tatum will do well in Boston so far based on what we've seen. Brad Stevens is great with the young players. They seem to outplay. The sum of their parts is greater than the parts, as so many of you have already heard. The Suns got Josh Jackson. Interesting, another Sean B shout out here. His 2 teams went back to back, so he's very excited about how this played out. Josh Jackson going to the Suns. I know he's already challenged me in a 2K18 game whenever that comes out. Claims the Suns will never be beat now, so that's a little game tip for you fans. Apparently the Suns are going to be unbeatable with Devin Booker and Josh Jackson. You heard it here first. The Kings made a smart move. In my opinion, Darren Fox, I think, could be better than Lonzo Ball. He won the one-on-ones. He's one of those guys, if he can get a jump shot, he already kind of does everything else. He just can't shoot very well. So if he learns how to shoot the basketball as a point guard, he's going to be pretty unstoppable. And the Kings needed someone to build their franchise around.
How are you in the NBA and don't know how to shoot a basketball?
Well, okay, so I should take. I can step back a second for that, because it's not that he doesn't know how to shoot; it's that it's not a strength of his. So he's a ball handler. He's taking you off the dribble. He's a facilitator. Yeah, RJ giggles at ball handler. I understand. That's I had never really thought of it until just a second, but it is
where I can with these ones,
It is a giggly term. I have to give you that.
Good for him, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a comparison that keeps being made to a former Kentucky point guard, John Wall, who also was a great athlete that couldn't really shoot the ball. But especially in the college game, if you can beat your man off the dribble, I realized that's why I stopped. I realized I was about to say beat your man off, and that RJ was going to lose it again. It's so much better with a producer in house. It really is. Otherwise I'd just plow right through these. There we go. There's another one. But since he can, if in college basketball, if you're better than the kid guarding you, you can score 25, 26 a night. You don't really need to be able to shoot from the outside. In the NBA, though, you can't do that because it's only 30 teams instead of 200 and something, and it's only the best of the best. I mean, that's why there are people that can't cut it in the NBA that will have a 20-year career somewhere in Europe and make good money doing it, being a professional athlete. But so that's the difference. That's the one area where if he can step up and really become something, if he can do that. Moving on to number 6, Orlando Magic took Jonathan Isaac from Florida State. That's pretty cool. They are an enigma to me. They have a lot of good young talent. I could see that team, especially in a really weak Eastern Conference, being a surprise team. He was the kind of guy who just does a little bit of everything. He's a 6'11" guy who can shoot from the outside, shoot off the dribble, but also get rebounds and start the fast break, also block some shots. I don't want to make a Kevin Durant comparison because those are not equivalent at all, but just think that sort of game. Just think, I guess, a poor man's Kevin Durant, maybe like a homeless guy's Kevin Durant, but, broad strokes. Think old Kev there. To number 7, which is, I guess now is a good time to discuss the breakdown of this Jimmy Butler trade, because the Timberwolves the Bulls took Lauri Markkanen at 7 via the trade with the Timberwolves. So the details of that trade, as everyone knows, Jimmy Butler goes to the Timberwolves along with the number 16 pick. The Bulls got Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn, and that number 7 pick, which turned into Lauri. It's a man's name. So obviously Minnesota's pretty close now, but they're in the West, so have fun with that 6 or 7 seed. Hopefully they don't run into the Warriors in the first round. They can win a few games. But this is a great team in the East. conversely, this is a 2 seed in the East, but that's the way it is. It's the way things are weighted right now. The Bulls are clearly in rebuild mode. I don't know that they know exactly where they want to go. This could be a good dynamic young backcourt, but Levine can't stay healthy. We don't really know with Dunn. Laurie, good pick and pop guy, good shooter. That's kind of the offense Fred Hoiberg wants to run. So have a stretch 4 there, but they need a lot. So it's going to be a bad year for the Bulls. The only thing helping them is they're in the same division as the Pacers, so they won't be in the bottom. New York. They went with what they know best and took a foreign player. So shout out to my home country, France. Broke the freshman streak there. The first 7 draft picks this year were all NBA or all college freshmen. I
had a freshman streak of my own at one point.
Yeah.
But it's been broke for a little while.
I bet yours was more impressive though.
No, I actually made that up. It never happened. So thanks.
I tried.
Yeah.
Speaking of I tried, this Frank. Yep, Frank Ntilikina. I can't actually read it, so I shouldn't have gotten such a small screenshot, but it looks like Ntilikina. I'm going to have to call Mom on this one and then go back and do a retract later. But moving on, a point guard from France, good athletic defender, pretty tall guy, allegedly has a 7-foot wingspan. We'll see about that. There was no combine sort of stuff for him. And he flew back after the draft to go play in Game 5 of the championship in the French league that he plays. So that's kind of different from college in a sense that, yeah, the talent level is different, but he's already a professional athlete. And depending on how that game went today, I forgot to check my updates on FIBA, but he might be a champion already. So we'll see. And the Knicks did really well with Porzingis, as everyone already knows. This is one of my favorites, number 9. So I mentioned earlier some interesting moments via Twitter. And Dennis Smith Jr. of the Mavericks had a good one. Before we get into any of that, I think he's going to be a great player. I think it was a sneaky draft pick. I'd heard it said right before the draft that he was going to be a sleeper, that any other year he would have been a guaranteed top 5 pick, but there was just so much talent this year, and he had come off an injury that's what was keeping him from the top 5. But he had... So I'll preface this by saying no one should be taking this seriously or holding this guy accountable for this because he's about 19 and a half right now. So when this happened, he was maybe 13 or 14. But this is why parents try really hard to keep their 13 or 14-year-old off of Twitter. I'm going to read you a tweet from November of 2012. Everybody has God-given talents. Mine just so happens to be slanging this wood in my pants. And so this tweet went from probably relatively unknown to, at the time that I saw it, it had 5,000 retweets, a couple thousand likes, and hundreds of comments that were mainly just memes of people making odd faces. And occasionally what I would imagine were elderly churchgoers and probably his family sending him like shame on you messages, and then the occasional person that would chime in and be like, so this kid was in middle school, this guy was in middle school when he typed this up, so you guys should probably give him a break. But it was funny that was a big trend for the entire evening. People were just digging through, and it's interesting. Someone, I'm 29. RJ's in his 20s. Like, we didn't grow up with Twitter. It wasn't something that we had access to in middle school. I got my first Facebook account in high school, so I really had to worry about. I still definitely said some stupid things throughout high school and college, so I still have to worry about those things popping up. But I can't imagine being a kid and having a Twitter account before you can have a car, and then later being held accountable for things you said before you were even allowed to drive a car. And that's the bad side to social media. Hopefully everyone just kind of took it in jest and said, okay, these are some funny moments because to me, I saw that and I was like, well, I have a new favorite player in the NBA. Like, this dude's also kind of hilarious. Speaking of that, I got myself in a Twitter beef last night. So Frank Mason III, National Player of the Year, did not get drafted in the first round, and I think it was around pick 21 or 22 where I was very busy on the Off the Bandwagon Twitter handle last night, just trying to pretend like I was some kind of journalist covering the draft. It was fun. You got to do some role play sometimes to make life interesting. So I tweeted out an Amber Alert for Frank Mason Jr. Frank Mason, or the third, I'm sorry. Frank Mason, male, 23, last seen March 25th. Anyway, so I got some hate back for that. But I am glad that he got drafted. It's unfortunate. He got drafted by the Kings. They had 3 different picks in the draft. So I don't know how much faith they had in him. I just wonder what happened here. He was looking like the best player in college throughout most of the year. I can't imagine why he didn't go in the first round. I thought he was a potential lottery pick. I know there were a ton of guards in this draft. It's just odd that he fell so far. But moving on to number 10, well, just briefly on number 9, Dennis Smith. I think he'll start. I feel bad for my boy out there, Yogi Ferrell. He was probably going back to the bench. But to wrap this up, the number 10 pick was traded for. The Blazers selected Zach Collins. They traded the 15 and the 20 to the Kings to get Zach Collins. So that should be good. Their 2 best players are guards. They needed some front court help. I don't see him as a big scorer, but they needed some rim. They needed a rim protector and a rebounder. He can do that. He makes a lot of dumb fouls, as we saw in the NCAA tournament. But he's a young kid. He should pick right up. But anyway, guys, I am gonna spare RJ from this fate. Any last words, sir?
Got a weird question for you.
Oh yeah, those are my favorite.
A lot of the names you're mentioning, they're like legacy names, like it's a junior or the third or that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird how like those kind of individuals end up in those kind of like roles, it would seem. Or maybe it's just coincidence. I don't know, but it just...
No, there's a decent amount of
pressure that comes with like getting your dad's name, or like, and if that just keeps getting handed down, I don't know, man.
No, I mean, and some of them, they're not. They end up being juniors. A lot of them were athletes. So like for instance, in the NBA, you have Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm sure that he's carried that around forever. Just when your dad played in the NBA and you're a junior, like there's no getting around that. You're going to be asked that every day of your life. So what better motivation to be like, well, I guess I have to go be my own man. Same thing. I didn't even know this, but apparently Stephen Curry, 2-time reigning MVP, his dad Del Curry played for the Charlotte Hornets, and I didn't realize that legally they have the same name, and legally he's a junior. I guess Steph goes by his middle name, apparently. I want to fact check that because I didn't know it, and I don't like to just blurt things out as if they're fact.
Why would you ever fact check something?
I may have 2 retractions for the next episode, but I wanted to blurt that out. Somebody, if you feel like fact checking it for me, let me know in the comment box. Anyway, again, I am Kev. This is Off the Bandwagon. Find us on the Bad Dinner Guest Network on SoundCloud.com/BadDinnerGuest. You can follow us on Twitter at BandwagonBDG or on Facebook, Off the Bandwagon. Just don't follow us on the street. Nighty night, guys.